Sometimes the people we trust most, those closest to our homes, our hearts, and our families, are the ones hiding the darkest secrets. This is the chilling story of a young mother who disappeared in broad daylight, and the horrifying truth that was waiting beneath the floorboards. Before we begin, welcome to Dark Matters TV, where we tell these stories with love and respect they deserve. If you care about justice, truth, and stories that must be heard, take a moment to subscribe to our channel. We bring you real cases, real victims, and the haunting truth behind closed doors. Friday, November 21st, 2014. It began as any other day for 33-year-old Jessica Padgett. The cheerful daycare worker and mother of three left her job at Duck Duck Goose Childcare in Northampton, Pennsylvania, on her lunch break. Her co-workers remembered her laughing that morning, full of her usual warmth and energy. She had a quick errand to run, and she was expected back within the hour. But Jessica never returned. When her co-workers realized she hadn't come back and wasn't answering her phone, the unease grew. This wasn't like Jessica. She was responsible, punctual, and completely devoted to her job and family. Something was wrong. That same afternoon, a massive effort began. Family, friends, and volunteers spread across Northampton, retracing Jessica's steps. Local police began reviewing surveillance footage, focusing on Jessica's known route, from her daycare job to her parents' home on Covered Bridge Road. She told co-workers she needed to use the fax machine at her mother's house, which she had done in the past. Investigators hoped technology would offer clues. Fortunately, the area was littered with surveillance cameras, gas stations, dollar stores, even beer distributors. And that's when police found the first breadcrumb. Jessica's Subaru was eventually located, but not where anyone expected. It had been quietly abandoned in the parking lot of a Dollar General store in Northampton. At first glance, it wasn't parked suspiciously. In fact, it was parked so far back that the store's own surveillance cameras couldn't get a good view of it. As we dive deep into this chilling case, take a moment to click that subscribe button and turn on notification, as your click will help us shade more light to stories like this. But across the street, at the Tanzo beer distributor, surveillance cameras did catch the car entering the lot at 1:13 p.m. That timing lined up with what investigators already knew. Jessica had left work at around 12:50 p.m. and passed by the Exxon station at 12:56 p.m., driving normally. But what happened next raised immediate red flags. On camera, a figure could be seen exiting the Subaru in the Dollar General parking lot. At first, investigators assumed it was Jessica. But the more they watched, the more it didn't add up. The figure was tall, too tall, over 6 feet, and their movements were masculine. They stood next to the driver's side, adjusted the seat, moved it forward, as if trying to erase the physical evidence of their height. Then the figure walked off through a narrow alley between a pet store and the town magistrate's office, never returning to the vehicle again. When police reviewed the video on high-definition monitors, it became clear. The person who parked Jessica's car wasn't Jessica at all. Law enforcement refocused their investigation and revisited Jessica's family, including her stepfather, Gregory Graf. Greg had seemed helpful at first. He told police that Jessica occasionally came to use the fax machine at the home he shared with her mother, Danelle. That day, he said, he wasn't home when she stopped by. He'd been out running errands. He also casually added that the fax machine hadn't worked in months. That small detail, the broken fax machine, struck investigators as strange. Why would Jessica stop by if there was nothing to use? And why hadn't Greg told her? Greg also shared unsolicited thoughts about Jessica's personal life, how she attracted losers, how he didn't like her husband Micah, and how she was struggling financially. Meanwhile, Jessica's husband Micah had an airtight alibi. He'd been at work all day. Multiple co-workers verified that he was there from early morning until well after 2 p.m. The last person seen with Jessica was no longer Micah. It was Gregory Graf. Investigators scoured nearby surveillance footage and soon noticed another detail: a white Ford F-150 with a camper and a distinctive black stripe. It had been caught on camera driving away from the area 50 seconds after the tall man disappeared into the alley behind the Dollar General. One officer immediately recognized the vehicle. It belonged to Gregory Graf. Greg was called back in for another round of questioning. This time, his story changed. He admitted that he'd driven into town that day, but said he was planning to drop off his truck for repairs near that same alley. At the last second, he claimed, he changed his mind and drove back home. To verify this, police spoke to his neighbors, Karen and David Gundrum, who lived just down the road. Greg had claimed Karen picked him up and drove him home. Karen's response stunned investigators. "That never happened. He didn't ask me to pick him up. I didn't even see him that day." Worse yet, Karen said that after Jessica disappeared, Greg begged her to lie to Jessica's brother Jeremy, to support the alibi that she had given him a ride that day. It was unraveling fast. Pressed again, Greg changed his story. Now he claimed that when he returned home that day, Jessica's car was already there, but she wasn't. He couldn't find her anywhere, he said. So he panicked. He drove her car to the Dollar General parking lot to protect her. According to Greg, Jessica had told him people were after her. So he did what he thought was right. He hid her car and didn't tell anyone. Police weren't buying it. Because if Greg had really come home and found her car abandoned, why didn't he call 911? Why didn't he tell Danelle, his own wife? Why did he lie twice? On November 24th, 2014, 3 days after Jessica vanished, investigators obtained a search warrant for Graf's property, where they discovered Jessica's body buried beneath a shed. Graf confessed to shooting her in the back of the head and concealing her remains. Further investigation revealed a disturbing motive. Graf had sexually abused Jessica's corpse. At this point in the story, if you're feeling disturbed, outraged, or just heartbroken, you're not alone. Jessica Padgett's case shakes something deep inside all of us. So if you're drawn to uncovering the truth behind cases like this, where justice is demanded and every detail matters, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. You're in the right place. This revelation shocked the community and added a layer of horror to the crime. Gregory Graf, her stepfather, had murdered Jessica, filmed her, and hidden her like a secret, then handed out paychecks to his employees later that afternoon, smiling and cracking jokes as if nothing had happened. Faced with the overwhelming evidence, Greg confessed. He admitted to murdering Jessica. He admitted to abusing her body. He said he snapped when she came to the house, and then he filmed what he did. Even his own wife, Danelle, was blindsided. She had lost her daughter, and the man she trusted most had committed the unthinkable. In June 2015, Gregory Graf pled guilty to first-degree murder. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Jessica Padgett had a close and trusting relationship with her stepfather, Gregory Graf, or so it seemed. He had been in her life for many years and was married to Jessica's mother, step-parenting her from a relatively young age. Jessica reportedly saw him as a father figure and had no known issues with him. She even worked for him occasionally at his landscaping business, and this professional connection reflected the apparent trust and familial bond between them. But tragically, this relationship was a facade masking something far more sinister. In reality, Gregory Graf harbored dark and predatory intentions toward Jessica. As Jessica's killer was not a stranger, but someone she considered family. Jessica Padgett was a bright light. A mother, a friend, a daughter, a beloved member of her community. Her death was senseless, brutal, and evil. But the legacy she left behind, her smile, her love for her children, and the fierce community that rallied for her, will never be forgotten. Gregory Graf may be locked away forever, but the damage he did lingers. He shattered a family from within. This case reminds us that monsters don't always live in the dark. Sometimes they sit at the dinner table. Thank you for watching. If you believe stories like Jessica's deserve to be told, please subscribe and turn on notifications. Your support helps us give victims a voice and ensures their stories are never forgotten. Until next time, stay safe and always trust your instincts.